Hey guys, Marcus Fry here with MFR. In this video, we're going to be installing some much needed updates to the 510 in preparation for LS Fest this coming weekend. I'll have a total of 3 days this next week to make not only some changes and updates, but some much needed maintenance on the car that, believe it or not, for the most part sits outside because I don't have a garage to put it in. Yeah, so here we go. So things will be changing. We're going to change the front suspension. We need to fix the current diffuser. It's I've clipped a couple driveways with it. We need to resync the stacks because they're out of adjustment right now. And when it gets warmed up, it'll start to idle high because some have vacuum links and others don't. So we'll show you how to do that as well. So this car gets used and abused on a pretty regular basis. We're going to be cleaning up the interior, maybe adding some paint in some spots. We're going to take the seats out, clean underneath the seats, clean the floor. And I also have to change the front master because our bias isn't 100%. It's not great. We're still getting too much heavy rear brake. We're going to show you how to do that as well. Last but not least, I have to figure out how to add a front sway bar onto this car. The entire time I've had the car, I've had no front sway bar, and for drifting it was fine. Like, I was able to set up the car to get it to drive right, but if I'm going to start road racing it and autocrossing it, it definitely needs a front sway bar. Rear end wants to come out like nobody's business. So that's another thing we're going to show you how I accomplish with limited space. Okay, so this is the current setup that the Datsun is running. This is a standard Techno Toy Tuning 280ZX front strut conversion for this car, running their billet aluminum 5-lug conversion hub. Now, this has been a great setup for the last just about 2.5, 3 years of running it, but the Coney inserts are kind of worn out. They're not really doing their job anymore. For drifting, it was great, but for road racing, it's getting an upgrade, and that's this in the next however long it takes me, and you get to see it in like 2 seconds. Now, this was one of the only major problems that I had with the top hats. They use this needle roller bearing. This is an upgrade from Techno, and set that down. As you can see, the needle rollers have completely self-destructed themselves. And I know for a fact the driver's side's fine. The passenger's like only the passenger side is like this. So this could be a specific to only my case. I'm using it beyond its means, or the bearing decided to fail, or I don't know, pick one. But we're not going to be using this the next time around. I'm not so much worried about how freely the steering wheel moves, rather accuracy and parts that don't fail. So I'm going to be going back to the design that comes with the Techno Toy kit for the top, which is it's a top hat that just rests on the monoball camber caster plate. So yeah. So with the new top hats, we have two different designs. We have flat and we have, well, not flat. And for my decision right now, as far as bolting the new setup together for the first time, I'm gonna go with flat because you can run out of space to adjust spring very quickly on the new setup. And well, if it doesn't work, then, I mean, obviously I'm gonna try the other one and I'm gonna show you every step. Actually, I should put these in from the backside so that when the brake caliper's on, I can still get everything off without taking the brake caliper off. If I wouldn't keep dropping everything, that'd be awesome. Okay, so this is the new setup that I'm going with for the car. Now the reason we did this is not only have a coilover housing that we can get valved for the spring rate and the weight of the car, but this is a lot better quality dampener, if I could talk. And this allows me to be able to adjust my negative camber at the spindle just like a newer vehicle, on top of adjusting it at the camber plate. Now, the benefit of this is, well, easy to adjust negative, and this gains me about 1 inch to 1.1 inches of inner wheel clearance to run a square tire size. So for right now I'm running a 275 40/17 in the back and a 255 in the front, and I'd like it to be a square setup. Even though the car is pretty small for that size tire, the bigger tire the better. And in the future, this car will have 18s on it, and when I run an 18, I want to be able to run either a 295 or a 215 30/18 on all 4 corners. So this is just the rough assembly to give you an idea what it's going to look like, and after I finalize this, I'll show you how to align everything, and we'll go through the pros and cons of the new setup after full assembly. Alright, so I'm not going to bore the shit out of you guys with lots of machining time lapse. So I'm just going to show you what's going on. Alright, so here's a shot of the new setup. Now, with this setup, we are now able to run a 275 on the front with still lots of space, so I could use a lot. I could use a wheel with another inch of inner width, but the 275 clears great. And as for the sway bar, it's going to go on top here, not necessarily in that exact spot, but this tube is going to be right here. I just machined up these aluminum bushings with inside a steel tube, and I'm going to use this to mount the sway bar to the car. It's going to go down and go back to the struts, and then there's going to be like a funky triangle thing in the middle. And yeah, the next video you'll see is that. Alright, so after a couple monsters and some time, this is the sway bar bracket that I have now. And comes down and mounts off of the front bumper mounts that goes up to the strut. So basically what I gotta do now, oh no, monster down!
Hello darkness, my old friend.
What I have to do now is connect that rod link to the suspension. So it's gonna be, and this, I know it's weird, there's a sway bar like on the top of the engine, but that's the only place for it to go. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so now that we got all the front suspension stuff handled yesterday, and you can check it out. Front sway bar mounted so it can't go front to back, and the other mount goes down into the original bumper mount. But you can see the rod that goes down to the control arm. Made it very adjustable. So that's all finished. So now I gotta change the front brake master, because the bias, I can't do enough forward bias right now. It's always been an issue, but I've been too lazy to change it. So now we're doing that. And I just realized that since my mic's the other direction, it didn't get any audio over there when I flipped the camera around. Alright, so after a full yesterday, this is how the front sway bar came out. See how it connects down to the control arm. Everything's here so it can't slide left to right. And it just clears. I gotta tighten that bolt. But under here there's a little more than 1/4 inch. and here there's about a 1/4 inch. But the motor's pretty solidly mounted, so it shouldn't go anywhere. Anyway, yeah, that's finished. Now we just got to do that thing that I just mentioned in the other clip. All right, so this is the master we're changing. It's front, rear, and clutch. This is a new one. It's identical in external features. It looks the same on the outside, but it's different on the inside. Current master's 3/4, we're gonna go to a 5/8 so we can build more pressure in the front brakes without utilizing all of the bias between the balance bar on the pedal assembly. So yeah, here's the assembly. All right, and like that, we're done. Now I got to clean all the brake fluid off of this, and then we're going to bleed the brakes and adjust the bias to, well, so hopefully to get this thing to stop better. Because right now, or before, it was locking up the rears before the fronts with the brake bias all the way to the front master. Otherwise, the force was being put all on the front master and not the rear, and we still weren't getting enough front wheel braking. So the way we increased it is we went down a piston diameter in the master to push less fluid, but to apply more force. So yeah, now time for cleanup. Oh, hey. Yeah, hold on. Love getting deliveries. All right, guys, car's finally all finished, and it's time to get out of here. Nothing like burnouts. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and we're getting all loaded up to head down to LS Fest, so we hope you see you there. We're going to film the whole event. We'll come out with a video right afterward. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.